Welcome back to part 10 of RadicalSoda's Pokemon Scarlet and Violet review. Have you noticed yet that I forgot to put the word review in there? It just says RadicalSoda's Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. And here we are, Porta Marinata, the most pointless and least pointless city in all of Paldea. This place doesn't have proper shops, no enterable buildings, no gyms, but I'll tell you what it does have. The only unique town feature in the entire game. I'm not kidding, no matter how much I wish I was. Also, the feature sucks big old balls, but we'll get to that in a bit. Gym leader Kofu got all the way here and was like, wowie zowie, my wallet seems to be missing. And his apprentice says he'll go find it. Then he bumps into us immediately afterwards and forces us to battle. Aren't you, like, on a time limit here? I mean, I get it, you don't want me to interrupt Kofu, but he's not buying anything without his wallet, which you said you'd get. What, if you got the world's strongest ADHD? Would you just forget what you were doing? Anyway, the guy's got a Floatzel, but my disappearing YouTuber blasted it to smithereens. They really couldn't have just scooted the camera back a couple of inches. In all 5 minutes of playtesting, you didn't notice how one of your brand new Pokemon kept disappearing into thin air? Shucks, I let old man Kofu down. Yeah, but not for the reason you think. We hand Kofu back his wallet and he tells us he's here to purchase a very specific seaweed, as he's a chef and he must cook. He decides to let a kid with no experience whatsoever do the bidding for him because I really don't know. He was literally crying because he couldn't buy the seaweed, and now he's doing this? Either way, we step in for him and begin the one unique feature of all the towns in the game, if you exclude the Academy, and I am. Here in Porta Miranda, each day there are different items for auction, and you can bid against the NPCs to buy them. These items are ridiculously expensive. For example, would you like a single love ball? Let's start the bidding at $100,000. Holy crap! Good luck if you want a regular Pokemon in the darn thing, and probably best to save it for a raid mon. Kofu gives us 50,000 Pokemon dollars, and despite how much I'd rather run off with it, I take part in the bidding for the glorious Wakame seaweed from the Hoenn region. You know, in the Hoenn region, they actually have real and unique gym interiors. And interiors in general. Anyway, there's no real way to lose this bidding war, assuming you have half a brain. Actually, never really seen what happens if you refuse to participate. Is the auctioneer running at 2 FPS? But we get the seaweed and Kofu heads back to the gym. He's going the wrong way. I thought surely there was something, anything else in this town, but despite all my looking, all I could find was the girl with the Whiscash vagina, coming to cinemas near you! Found a Rotom up near the lighthouse on the hill. As a kid, I always thought Rotom was a legendary, like on the same vein as, I don't know, Mythical Manaphy? Or, I don't know, maybe the Lake Trio? Didn't help that in Pearl when you fought him, it played the legendary theme, made him feel really exclusive and special. Although what with the Wash Rotom meta and X and Y, the specialty of it wore off really quick. I'm sure there's people out there like feeling the exact same way about Landorus. Welcome to the outdoor... hello. Okay, see ya. Finally decided to head back to the gym and Kasparov with Vasa after catching a bunch of more Pokemon to fill out the decks, and look who it is! Mr. Hassel! And he's brought a friend. Androgynous spotted. This is Rika, a young lady part of the Elite Four, and I've had people say I'm silly for calling this design androgynous, but in a game series where Game Freak gives even 10-year-olds boobs, I'll kindly request you reconsider. Looking at her design, you can clearly tell that her Pokemon type would be Steel? I genuinely had no idea. Looking at the types left over after taking the ones away from Team Star Bosses and gym leaders with what Steel, Flying, Rock, Ground, and Dragon. Seeing as that leaves one type extra, you know, right at the end, either Gita uses one type, not really a common thing anymore, apart from Iris and Black and White too. No champions used a monotype team since Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, and even then, the very first champion, Blue, had a variety of Pokemon, not that they'd have easily made a monotype team with the amount of Pokemon available at the time. Remember Lance? Great example of why making teams around themes are way better than making teams around types. Technically, nowadays you could have a dragon-themed team without any dragons at all if you get a little creative. What am I talking about again? Rika? Type? Steel? I didn't know. How can you guess from that design? It's finally time for the battle against Kofu. Everything's led up to this. Getting the wallet, delivering the wallet, purchasing seaweed. What an adventure. Leader Kofu leads off with an However, I propose an idea. This man has 3 Pokemon and every single one of them is weak to electric. You could have easily had like a Whiscash or had a Lantern, had a Seismitoad. That one's not in the game. He didn't even have any counters to grass types. A single water flying Pokemon would have done that trick. Pelipper, Cramorant, Swanna, Mantine, Gyarados. Get rid of your damn Wug Trio and in its place slapping a Whiscash and a Pelipper. They make sense with the theme, seafood chef and all. You know, people eat catfish and pelicans
eat a lot, and bam, done. Resistances to both electric and grass, and the Pokemon themselves aren't even all that strong. How hard is it to make a semi-interesting trainer? Iono had 2 of her 3 Pokemon completely immune to ground moves, electric's only weakness. Why'd they shaft Kofu so damn hard? Man, this town's gotta really suck living in. Dust storms all the time? Hang on a second, the dust isn't even blowing from the desert. The wind direction means it's coming from here. Okay, Nemona pops in, ready for another rival fight. Or not. Apparently she can't battle us now because her team is specifically made to take on the gym leader. Okay, first of all, why is Nemona battling Kofu? She's already a champion-ranked trainer. What's the rules around that? And secondly, wouldn't this be an awesome time to battle me? I just blasted through the gym leader, no problem. Wouldn't an interesting fight against Nemona using Pokemon specifically trained to fight Kofu be, I don't know, a good thing? Show us Nemona's versatility. Let us see proof that she's training a bunch of different Pokemon. As it is, the only thing Nemona's got that other rivals don't is the title of champion rank. The game tells us over and over again how much of a great trainer she is and how she's holding back when battling us and that she's been constantly updating, swapping, and training her team at all times, but we don't see it. So far I've fought Nemona 3 times, which I think is less than other Pokemon games. For example, Barry's fought us 4 times by the 4th gym, so much for battle crazed, but each time she's used the same team, just adding on a Pokemon or 2 each time. I'd like to think they remedy this inconsistency as the game progresses, but I really don't have all that much hope. Looking over the map to decide my next destination, I stumbled across this little guy. I didn't know what it was, so I flew over there, and after losing an honestly embarrassing amount of balls on a single Quillfish, here it is! I've stumbled across an outbreak of Wattrel. I couldn't really figure out the point of these at the time, but they're here essentially for shiny hunting. You beat enough of them and the shiny odds will increase until there's none left. Funny how Game Freak always adds like a shiny hunting mechanic with each new generation. You'd think with the amount they want you to play their way, they'd just outright remove any way to hunt for them. Shinies in this game in particular are so common I don't know why they bothered adding a mechanic in the first place. When 40 Pokemon are spawning at once, each with their own shiny chance, that's like 40 wild encounters all at once in a previous game. If anything, I think the shiny odds should be lowered. I mean, go back to 1 in 8,000 instead of the 1 in 4,000 we have today. Make these things truly special again. Well, either that or make a new different shiny form. I know they had the square sparkles in Sword and Shield, but I'm talking like a whole new color. Doesn't take long to implement. Could be an idea, just saying. 1 in 10,000 chance, ahoy! Oh, they did a great job with the paper mache here. Turned out my next destination was the school of all places because Nurse Miriam's got something for us! Oh, hey Mr. Soderbergh, did you need something from me?
Huh, I get it, like sex!
Nurse Miriam's here to do a little bit of studying as she'd like to take the health teacher certification exam one more time. She even says she was inspired to do so by me. Me! Suddenly her break's over, so she heads back over to the nurse's office. Hey, look at that, I feel trusted. The trust is going to be broken real quick when she finds the Miriam Shrine. Nothing much else to do at the academy, so the next stop is South Province Area 6. You know, the psychic gym. Oh. Nemona pops up in the gym beforehand, though, and challenges us to... Oh my god, a battle? That's weird, totally out of character for her. But alas, she doesn't want to battle us with just any team, so she heads off to fine-tune it, as she says. Which definitely means it won't just be the exact same team as last time with an extra Pokemon thrown in. We already know exactly what the gym challenge consists of at this point, so let me just spice things up and throw in like a clip from my Nuzlocke live stream.
Give me a joyful smile! 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 Smile! Look surprised! Give it all you've got! Become the embodiment of joy! Recall something that made you angry!
Like playing this game.
Show me a little anger! 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 Show me a little... Give me a joyful smile! Shadow, give me your best angry face! I need head-to-toe surprise! I need head-to-toe surprise! I need head-to-toe surprise! Show me a little anger! Show me a little anger! Show me a little anger! Give me your best angry face.
And there you have it, emotional spectrum practice complete. I'm on the spectrum. And with that horrific experience dealt with, it's finally time to face the gym lead. This is my future wife. What is with me and purple hair? This is Tulip. Despite the name, she's obviously the psychic type gym leader. I love how stylized the 2D artwork of her is. I really do think that a 2D art-driven Pokemon game could be a big hit. Honestly, I don't see much of a reason as to why Tulip would be the psychic type gym leader in particular. I feel Fairy for, the dazzling beauty, or the Poison maybe for the toxic world of fashion. It'd probably be a better fit, but I suppose it doesn't matter all too much as her main Pokemon happen to overlap with both the psychic and beauty themes. I mean, apart from her first Pokemon, Farigiraf, although I suppose it could be a reference to the slender necks or being tall, possibly Giraffe's giant eyelashes. Either way, Microsoft Sam's got crunch, so it's really not a big deal for him. But unfortunately, it turns out to be a big deal for him, and he barely gets out alive with only 4 HP. Gardevoir makes an appearance, but Code Radical eats a Psychic like a champ and then devours a dazzling glare. Snow Halation finishes it off with a Twin Beam, though, and stays in against Tulip's Espathra, which happens to know Psychic instead of Lumina Crash. Look, I'm not saying Tulip's throwing, but maybe lay off the lipstick and pick up a book, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, I died of the Espathra. Because I'm worried about Fairy-type moves, I terrestrialize Bear Grylls right away and deal with the Espathra, and that only leaves one Pokemon left, which I get spoiled on because the game has no set mode. Man, I love modern Pokemon! As you might imagine, the Florges immediately terrestrializes into Psychic type, and we beat it with a stick until it faints. I don't know what was happening with the teleporting around. Another gym badge won, another picture for my nothing. We've already established they vanish into the ether. Overall, it wasn't a bad fight. Farigiraf was there to balance out the ghost types, and Gardevoir was there to battle the dark types. All she needs now is something for the bugs, and Bob's your uncle. Maybe one of those Metachams following her around. Fighting resists bug after all.
Don't go uploading that selfie we just took to social media, okay? I think my makeup has run a little with all the moving and sweating I did during our battle.
Sweating, you say? Geeta jump scares us immediately once we're back in the lobby, and mentions with all the progress we've made should be very interested in inviting us to the Pokemon League. Hey Geeta, knock knock.
Who's there?
Interrupting Nimona.
Interrupting Nimona.
Hey, Mr. Sodaberg! I've got my team all picked out! Whoa, wait! La Primera? What the fuck is that word? Whoa, Mr. Sodaberg!
That's right, she's cheating on you. Nimona explains that Geeta's the top champion, as it were, as if we were dumb enough to not have put that together already. I genuinely did not realize Clive was direct to Clavel. Geeta wants to watch Nimona and I battle, so she joins us out at the very area we fought Tulip in our gym battle. I was going to make a joke about whether or not we're actually supposed to be using it when the gym leader probably wants it clear for gym battles, but what the hell's she going to do with Geeta menacingly standing nearby? Nimona leads with her Lycanroc, which was of course a rock rough previously. Turns out I forgot to teach Microsoft Sam any grass type moves, but I still terrestrialized them to remove my rock weakness and set up Sun for some powerful flamethrowers, which does take down Lycanroc in 2 hits. Nimona's caught herself a Goomy. Very nice. Why a Goomy? It's incredibly weak. I mean, despite its level, it doesn't evolve into Sliggoo until, level 40, and even then, it's still not that good. Anyway, one shot it with a non-stab crunch, and then Nimona sends in Kommo-o, which has finally evolved, if you can count it as an evolution. One flamethrower takes that down too, and it's finally time for Nimona's starter, Quackquavel. Sounds interesting. You know how I always say I don't outright hate any Pokemon designs, and the one exception to that is good old Sausage Fingers Italian? Well, good news, buddy! You've got a friend! Sausage Toes Quackquavel! I get it. I do. It's a carnival dancer, but it's just one of those designs I wouldn't want to meet in a dark alley. What are those toes? Why does it have such a fat ass? It just makes me really uncomfortable. Smash! Now this abomination does manage to take out Microsoft Sam, seeing as, again, I don't actually have any real grass-type moves, but immediately afterwards Bear Grylls pops in and cleans up.
Whoa! A critical hit right where it counts! Luck's on your side for sure!
Well, you know what they say, Nimona, when it's luck you need. Cheat. After that, nothing much of substance happens. Demona and Geeta both say that Mr. Soderbergh here has great potential, you know the drill. These modern Pokemon games stroke you off so hard you get rubbed raw. Geeta also hiffs Terra Blast at you, a new move that changes its type depending on what type you've terrestrialized into. Alright, well let's get a move on. It's only taken a really extremely long time, but there's only 3 gyms, 1 Titan, and 2 Team Star bosses left before all our quests are complete. Yo, is that a wild Toxtricity? No! I spent a while wandering around the cliffs of South Province Area 6, catching all the Pokemon I could find, including ye old Drifblim, which as it turns out has a mouth? I don't like that, it's weird. I did run into a new Ghost-type Pokemon, the evolution of Greavid Houndstone. It's like if Greavid grew up and lost all of its skin. It's actually the first real skeleton Pokemon we've gotten, to be honest. I don't think really Cubone and Marowak count. But despite this, I have a hard time caring all too much for Houndstone. I mean, well, with its jaws looking like a dehydrated hot dog lifting away from a dehydrated bun and the kind of slapped-on gravestone on its head. It doesn't mean I hate the design. It's fine, it works as an evolution to Greavid, but I mean, I wasn't really jumping off the rafters in regards to Greavid, so it's not much of a surprise the evolution didn't really wow me. It does get, surprise, surprise, its own signature move, Last Respects, which does 50 more damage for each of your fainted Pokemon. Well, 1 for each that is fainted in the current battle, anyway. You'd think this would mean the move caps out at like 300 damage, but no, apparently not. Using revives, this damage can stack, making Last Respects the strongest move in Pokemon history, capping at 5,500 damage. Not that you'd need that much, of course. It does seem a little bit ridiculous with how quickly the power ramps up, but I think Game Freak probably balanced it in regards to competitive Pokemon matches, which as far as I'm aware are 2-on-2, with each player only picking 4 Pokemon each, meaning that Last Respects can really only get to 200 damage, unless of course you're running Revival Blessing, but we'll talk about Revival Blessing when we're good and ready. After more wandering around, I found something that I thought was really interesting, and it's that you can find evolutions wandering around the overworld now, for the first time ever, I think, in a Pokemon game. I mean, look at this. Evolve EV, Evolve AV, Evolve EV, Evolve EV, Evolve EV, Trade, Evolve EV, Trade, Evolve EV, Evolve EV, Evolve EV, Evolve EV, Palpuck doesn't count, Trade, Evolve EV, Evolve EV, Evolve EV, Evolve EV, Evolve EV, Evolve EV. Well, look who finally has a positive feature. Apparently it took me this long to run into Flamigo, one of the more divisive Pokemon from Scarlet and Violet. I say it took me a long time because it's actually seen around the first area, but nevertheless, this little fighting flying type, has caused quite a stir regarding its appearance. It is a flamingo. Its body sort of looks like a boxing glove. Now obviously you're allowed your opinion, no qualms there to bicker over, but I don't know, it's not that bad, is it? What's interesting about Flamigo is that people have found it's one of the best Pokemon to speedrun the game with, which I mean, I wouldn't have guessed. Apparently having Scrappy as an ability helps out. Also, funny off-topic thing from the script, I'm saying this months after writing the script, the speedrunning community for Scarlet and Violet has just dropped dead. You know how, like, back at the start where I got out of bounds and I ran around without Koraidon? Yeah, the point is, Game Freak really did make the game super hard to sequence break. I imagine even if you got to, like, the place where you're meant to go to Area 0, you couldn't go there, because Game Freak knew their game was so freaking busted that they knew people were going to teleport through walls, they knew they were going to fall through stuff. There's just no way to speedrun. The game, you lose like the majority of your time to lag randomly. If it rains, you might as well reset the game. It's horrendous. It's awful. I recommend looking up videos about it, because I'm sure there's a lot more I'm not explaining here, but holy moly. You know what's bad when the speedrunners give up? Back on topic, what I think is the most interesting thing about Flamigo is that they forgot to set up one of the models correctly in the Pokédex entry. I mean, Flamigo doesn't deserve much, but it sure as hell deserves better than this. I think I deserve better, to be honest. I did catch the Psyduck, by the way, you know, just in case. Although, unfortunately, it didn't stay invisible, though that would have actually been really cool. It did blueball me a bit with not showing the model for a little while, though, as you might remember, it does do that every time, which is great. Look how high up we are! What a beautiful world! On my way down the mountain, I ran into a wild Psychic Terra Golduck. I guess Game Freak is well aware Psyduck and Golduck are always mistaken for psychic types. I think it's absolutely just unfathomably incredible that we haven't seen a type change for them both after 9 whole generations. Not even a new evolutional regional form. Isn't Psyduck supposed to be Masuda's favorite Pokemon? Where's the love? Golduck's about as helpful as a warty handshake. Give him something, why don't you?
Also found another wild parrot Pokemon, this time... Hello? There he is, there's the man himself, Pikachu! Thank goodness they changed that back. Human vocal cords is not something I want to be hearing out of a wild animal. Another bunch of Pokemon caught later, Bonsly, Pichu, Squovit, Fletchling... And that's the second random shiny I've seen in my playthrough. I meant it when I said the rate was too high. It should be a really hyped thing when you see a shiny. I mean, nowadays I see one and I just kind of go, oh, I should probably catch that. Nowadays you see full shiny teams on the regular because it's so easy to get them. After a quite frankly too long interlude of catching all these dang Pokemon, I could have made things a lot easier for the video by just playing like everybody else and focusing on the main story parts, but no, I had to catch them all, even though everybody knows in Sword and Shield you can't do that anymore. My next objective was set to be the false Dragon Titan, so I made my way over to Casseroya Lake, which with enough speed I think I can rip through the cruddy coating and break out of the game. There I go! Well, would you looky here, another brand new Pokemon, name of Tatsugiri. Now Tatsugiri here is a water dragon type made to look like sushi, something you can see, doing one of its animations, where it puffs up its throat sac and lays upon it. Sounds kind of gross out of context, but this is Pokemon, so it's kind of cute here. There are 3 different versions of Tatsugiri, each with their own color and special interaction with a different Pokemon that we haven't quite got to yet, so, I'll expand on that when we get to that Pokemon. I really like Tatsugiri. It's just a shame it can't really be used properly in the main Scarlet and Violet story, as its special interaction is all supposed to be done in a double battle setting. So, it would have been great if Game Freak had actually slapped a couple more of those in here. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't think a single battle so far has been in the doubles format. When your competitive scene completely revolves around double battles, wouldn't it make sense to make it a little more common in-game? I mean, heck, there's so many moves out there that are completely useless in single battles. I remember getting Rage Powder on Carnivine as a kid. Yeah, remember him? And just thinking to myself, what on earth is the point of this useless-ass move? To follow me after you, Heal Pulse, Ally Switch, Helping Hand? I've never really gotten to use any of these moves because it just doesn't make sense to put them on your Pokemon in a game where double battles only take up like 0.1%. I think a double battle mode for new Pokemon games would make a lot of sense. There's a lot of interesting strategy to Pokemon that's just kind of thrown out the window because a lot of that strategy is in doubles. 1v1 just kind of favors sweeping one Pokemon after the other from the start of the battle. Anyway, back to Casseroya Lake, caught a few more Pokemon, battled a trainer or 2, and then it's time to figure out exactly where our Titan is. Does Game Freak know how to program sarcasm? The slowdown around here is just awful. I mean, unless you're like looking dead at the ground or at a slowpoke. I don't know if it's the water or the Pokemon spawning in the water or just the geometry. Could also have to do with, the memory leak. I've been playing for over an hour maybe, so, God forbid I play for a reasonable amount of time. This place was just incredibly annoying to run around, and when the frame rate dips, the game slows down and your inputs are made even more sluggish than they already are, which makes things just infuriating. Infuriating that it feels like us, but more infuriating that the game was released like this, and still plays like this. The whole game already runs at a substantially poor percentile. Look, I'll just pull up the small ant clip.
I've played for 16.5 hours. A little bit more than that. I've lost an hour and a half to lag.
So having a place in the game that runs even worse than everywhere else? Like, holy moly. At least I can distract myself with a cool new 3-star raid. You kidding me? Here I am ready for a 3-star level 35 raid, and my teammates are a Snorunt, a Squovit, and a Balloon. Why did I miss the $50 Terra Crystal raid accessory for the Switch that grants me access to better teammates? What the hell is this? This is like getting stuck in a group project with the class Stoner. Like, dude, this artisanal cheese stuff is kinda cool. It tastes of Martin Luther King. Good to see they learned absolutely nothing from Sword and Shield's raids. Unless they're just really pushing the online stuff, which I wouldn't really understand. It's not like Game Freak gets a cut of the online money, right? Maybe a small step into the online subscription world would mean another inch closer for Pokemon Home subscriptions. I mean, I don't know. At least evolve the Squovit, man. I thought I'd glide my way over to one of the lake's little islands scattered all about, and despite the drop-off the glide has, I actually made it there no problem. Narvan's on our ass again, this time about what else? Titans. So, rumor has it the false Dragon Titan lurks somewhere in this lake, yeah? Then not a single person's ever caught a glimpse of it. What? And why are we here? What did they smell it? Thanks to Arvin teleporting us far away and back onto the shore, I thought it only polite to swim out into the lake, not before catching this Azumarill. Oh yeah, this isn't gonna take long at all. Don't worry guys, I can get a slightly better frame rate between Snowhalation's legs. Well, at least until I throw the ball. What the heck is this big yellow pole? Ah, I see. It soft locks your game. I didn't mean it. Is it gonna do something? Oh, there we go. Will you pull out the stake? Well, of course. When you pulled out the stake, it crumbled and vanished. Okay then. That was indeed something. Oh hey, Heatwave. Finally back to what I was intending to do before Arvin yoinked my ass out of the ether. We've made it to this lovely little island, what in the seven hells. Dodonzo is a big old beefy lad, and not one I was expecting, to be honest. Game Freak hates anything to do with size as far as scale goes in Pokemon, just look at Wailord and Sword and Shield. But I guess with Wailord out of the picture here and it not being available, they've got room for this big old bastard, which is the aforementioned Pokemon that works with Tatsugiri. In a double battle, it gobbles it up, making the battle 2v1, but Dodonzo gets a bunch of stat boosts to even things out. Also, depending on what Tatsugiri it swallows, its signature move, Order Up, will boost a different stat, or boost nothing if it didn't swallow one, obviously. Seeing Dodonzo just below the surface of the water is a little bit scary at first. Personally speaking, if I was swimming and this thing rocked up, I'd shit myself a little. And it's not like it's a whale shark where it's just a filter feeder. This thing's a catfish. It'll shovel anything it can fit into its big gaping maw, where you'll find a big old blue tongue. Interesting choice there. Overall, Dodonzo's pretty neat, and he's got a cool gimmick, and seeing it in the overworld is pretty cool. Unless it speeched itself like the one in my game did. I don't know what that guy was doing. Remember Dreadnought, guys? After Gigantamax left, the poor guy's been left fending for himself out there. Tiny Turtle! Oh hey, there are trainers out here. I suppose anything's possible with the power of Pokemon. Oh, good lord. I'm blocking off his view. Mr. Soderbergh is a certified cheater. Well, this Tatsugiri looks a little bigger, don't it? Ah! I don't care what the game's saying here, but Dodonzo did not eat that Tatsugiri. It crushed it and myself in the process. No, there I am, right as rain. Oh, and there's my dog, even though I didn't send him out. Honestly, I think the cutscene quality for the Titans overall can just be summed up by Dodonzo's big old ugly mug. Here we are, Dodonzo, the false dragon titan. Honestly, I'm not noticing much of a size increase from regular Dodonzo from my perspective. Cloth grew 5 times over, Orthworm was like 17 times the size. Dodonzo here? What, a couple of inches longer maybe? Oh shit. I feel like Mr. False Dragon here might be overreacting just a little.
Oh, great heaven!
This is taking too long. Come on, Bear Grylls.
I'm on it! What do you need me to do?
What? 2 flower tricks later in the False Dragon Titan. Okay. We gotta follow it back to its lair just like every other Titan. No issues there, I suppose. Other than Pokemon spawning around me every 2 seconds like pop-up ads on a porn site. Here's your rundown for the next Titan cutscene. There's a Tatsugiri at the entrance. I pop out of existence. Dodonzo breaks open the wall without touching it. No cloud of dust except for when the camera goes back to me. Tatsugiri pops into place, flies in. Didn't know it could do that. Arvin faces through the wall behind us like some sort of platform 9 3/4 bullshit. He asks if we found the Titan while staring at said giant Dodonzo. Tatsugiri comes back and immediately gets eaten by Dodonzo, and whammo blammo, here's the second phase. Arvin's brought his Greedent to help out, if you want to call that helping. And I terrestrialize Bear Grylls right away because that's the best option, even if it does make things incredibly trivial. Ooh, Tail Whip! Thanks, Greedent! Actually, thanks to the Tail Whip, I managed to take down Dodonzo in 2 clean hits. But that's not all! Turns out that Tatsugiri also got a bit of that Herba Mystica energy as well. No worries though, I've got Play Rough for Dragon type. When did Meowscarada get Levitate? Tatsugiri here actually packs a decent punch. It took down Bear Grylls with a Dragon Pulse. Thankfully, Greedent here took it down by actually using an attacking move for once. Not on his own volition, of course. He got taunted. Bastard would have tail whipped until he croaked. Also decided to learn Levitate. And that's it! Both false Dragon Titans defeated. And I just wanted to point out, I just kind of have to at this point. Game Freak didn't even bother waiting until the screen had faded out before removing Bear Grylls' model from the screen. Like, it's not that hard. Like, it makes me so frustrated that even the bare freaking minimum amount of quality you should be able to expect is just not there. Anyway, you guys know the deal. It's Herba Mystica time. Yippee! Yep, good old H&M. Gee, I wonder if those 2 letters mean anything.
Gee, it sure would suck to not realize all game that that was some sort of Easter egg or reference, you know, those two letters put together, because only an idiot would go the whole game without realizing they were. Spicy Herba Mystica is the very last one, and let's hope it works on Arvin's dog, because if it don't, it's getting the old yellow treatment. Oh man, look who it is! There's no way Koraidon wants my sandwich! I kind of feel sorry for Mr. Soderbergh. Here I am forcing them to chow down on quite possibly the worst sandwiches known to mankind, and when they finally have the chance of tasting the good life with Arvin's sandwiches, Koraidon's right there to make sure that doesn't happen. Koraidon will be able to climb up vertical surfaces now. It will also randomly turn invisible while doing so. Hey, that's pretty cool, rock climbing. Hey Arvin, what power did your Pokemon get? Oh. Well, with the power of special herbs and sandwiches, Arvin's dog is as good as new. Arvin embraces his companion, and Koraidon and Mr. Soderbergh share a moment. Koraidon's not even looking in the right direction, and I don't know where Mr. Soderbergh's looking thanks to the 6 shades, but hey, I'll take what I can get, I guess. Sada calls again to pretend to have any plot relevance. Arvin gets a little miffed, and once Sada realizes Arvin is there, she reaches out to her son. She's been searching so long for a way to reach him so she can ask him to open the lab door for Mr. Soderbergh. What a terrible mother. Poor Arvin. Christ, the woman's got the heart of a boa constrictor. Arvin says that's the first time he's heard her voice in years, and then the first and only thing she says to him is to unlock the lab door? Am I watching Ice Age? Because that bitch cold! Arvin will meet us at the lighthouse when we're ready, but not before I catch the Savalug. Okay. Could you have not just kept the icy effects going throughout the battle? Poor Scott here, looks like you forgot to animate him.
Hey y'all!
Thanks for watching, everybody. If you'll remember, last episode I asked you what your favorite Dragon-type Pokemon was, and let's just say people enjoy the Dragon-type. It took a while to get through the comments the first time I did the poll, but here it took me like 8 hours. But, you know, it was nice, at least for the first couple of hours. Most of you were so positive about your favorites. It was a nice change of pace compared to, you know, Scarlet and Violet in general. Let's start with some honorable mentions, because there were hundreds more votes than last time. Like, seriously, first place was 11 votes there, and this time that many won't even get you in the top 20. So here we'll do a top 10 instead of a top 3. First honorable mention goes to Dragalge. Must have been like half of the Dragalge comments remarking on how underrated and unloved it is. But guess what, Dragalge fans? You like a popular Pokemon. Out of all 93 Dragon-type Pokemon, it was 15th, right below Salamence. Yeah, that's right. You want an underrated Pokemon? Try Dracloak. Try Octobax. Those were the only 2 Pokemon with 0 votes. Well, technically Frigibax also got 0 votes, but it was one person voting for it and then one person voting against it, which was so cruel, by the way. Second honorable mention goes to Druddigon, who was 12th. Druddigon fans crawling out the woodwork like an infestation. Where did you all come from? Back in my day, Druddigon was considered ugly as hell. I would have never guessed it was this popular, but you know, if there's one dragon its fans are confidently proud of, it is Druddigon. You guys know what you like, and by golly, it's easy to see. So let's get on with the actual top 10. Number 10 with 64 votes was Altaria. I'd sort of forgotten about Altaria being a dragon type, but as it turns out, it's pretty popular, and you know, not hard to see why. Fluffy cloud bird. Actually, if I was counting the votes for its mega form as well on top of this, it would have gotten a spot higher, but I'm not, so here it sits at 10. Number 9 goes to Dragonair with 67 votes. Love Dragonair, what a classic. Never really liked Dragonite that much, which the voters here can mostly also agree with. But Dragonair just has like a sort of elegance, which I love in a Pokemon design like this, and then it's kind of lost with Dragonite, so can definitely understand why it got this high. Sorta was expecting higher, to be honest. Number 8 goes to a tie, actually. The only tie in the list, I promise. Speaking of ties, guys, you don't get more than 1 vote. So many people saying like, oh, I've got a tie between these 2 Pokemon. Congratulations, you played yourself. You get no votes. Heck, some people out here trying to vote for 5 different Pokemon. Like, come on! Anyway, Giratina and Haxorus, both with 85 votes. I don't really have to explain this one, do I? I mean, one thing I will say about these 2 is that both groups of voters seem to really like the shinies. So, you know, both Digimons ending up together really does sort of make a coincidental sort of sense. Number 7, Dragonite with 91 votes. The classic Gen 1 dragon, makes sense it's up here. As some voters were proud of their Gen 1 tastes and others were a little bit self-conscious about it. Either way, again, makes sense. Number 6, beating Dragonite by 2 votes, it's Rayquaza. A lot of voters were questioning whether or not legendaries were allowed, which, yeah, you guys forget about Regigigas getting a winning spot last time? Why would legendaries not be allowed? Anyway, obvious why Rayquaza made it up here. Box, legendary, cool design, super strong, blah, blah, blah. Number 5, with 107 votes. I hope you're realizing just how many comments I had to read through now. And some people hid their answer in a fucking novel of various Pokemon names. Noivern, super popular. I think there were plenty of people also calling this one underrated. Nowhere near as many as Dragalge fans, but they were there. Never really gave Noivern a second glance personally, so it immediately shooting to the top was a bit of a surprise, but it's a pretty unique dragon Pokemon, so I can understand it. Number 4, and this is where we get into the really obvious ones, with 112 votes, it's Hydreigon. So many comments about how much this thing is a pain in the ass to get, and rightly so. I can remember my own frustration trying to figure out what levels Wailus needed to be to evolve. Fucking 64. Great. Hydreigon, of course, has a cool design and was very strong for the time it came out, thanks to Fairy-type not existing. No wonder it's in 4th place. Number 3, Goodra made it onto the podium with 148 votes. I would say about 2/3 of the votes here were made because they thought Goodra was just a cute, silly little guy, and the other third, well, I'll just say I'm disappointed in you. Now, there is, of course, a Hisuian Goodra as well, and if I added the votes of that to base Goodra, it would come in 2nd total, but like Altaria, it's a different form, so it doesn't count towards regular Goodra's score. Now, we have our final 2. You've got a certain dragon type in your head at number 1, don't you? You've got it in your head right there. You can see it very clearly that Garchomp is number 1, but it's number 2 with 154 votes. But number 1 absolutely clears it with nearly 200 votes. Flygon. Now, everybody knows why Garchomp got up here, blah, 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 but Flygon, wow, we didn't see that one coming. 196 votes, and good for him. Good for him. Flygon is pretty friggin' cool. Alright, if you're wondering where your favorite got to in the ranking, I did include the rest of the Pokemon in the description down below. I thought it made more sense than, I didn't do it for the normal type one because a lot of Pokemon only got 1 or 2 votes because there were so few, votes in general. But here, there's plenty to look over, so it was actually quite interesting to go through and look through it. Also, now that I'm looking at the list, I also realized that not a single person voted for Mega Latias or Latios. I mean, deserved, honestly. Also, we'll get to this episode's poll. I'm going to do something a little bit different, so stay tuned. Firstly, I'd like to know about your favorite bug-type Pokemon. So chuck that down in the comments down below. If I'd have to guess, I'd say Scizor probably has the best shot of winning this one, but even me saying that, who knows? I'd have figured Garchomp would have won the last one, so. My favorite dragon type is Dracozolt, by the way. I just thought I'd let you know. I was hoping to use it in Scarlet and Violet, but they didn't put it in, so, thanks, Game Freak. Alright, so you put your favorite in the comments? That's great, wonderful, thanks, buddy. Really appreciate that. I genuinely did enjoy reading about why your favorite Pokemon is the one it is. I thought a lot of the comments were really insightful, and even opened my eyes to some Pokemon that I hadn't really thought about. So, for the next poll, I think I'll pick some of my favorite comments down below and put them in the video. But to make my life a little bit easier, please direct your eyes to the description where you'll find a Google form where you can select your favorite bug Pokemon from a list, which will make tallying the results go from an 8-hour slog to a 3-minute piece of cake. And I think that's all. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. To make finding your favorite Pokemon on the Google form a little bit easier, just press Control F and search the name. Super simple. Also, please don't put so many D's nuts jokes in the comments this time.